Okay, you guys, let's do this. It's going to be so professional. Like, so professional. Here we go. Well, welcome to the Life Support Podcast with your hosts, Michele VanDusen and June Colson, a couple of clean comedians who support each other and others through comedy's wacky and winding roads. I hope you're ready. Get set. Let's go. Since podcasts have a catchy tune, we wrote this song for Michele and June. Clean comedians are best friends too. Oh, it's so good. And you never know what they'll say or do. Here we go, sing with me on Life Support, with Michele, who's really short. We'll have a ball, with June, who's really tall. They have fun, interviewing comedians on Life Support, with Michele, who's really short. Now it's time to start Life Support.
The Life Support Podcast is brought to you by the Hot Breath Comedy Network.
Wow, give yourself a round of applause.
Oh.
Welcome to the award-winning Laugh Support Podcast. I'm your host, June Colson, here with Michele with one L, Trisha's sister, Rhonda Colson, Corey's friend. Don't call me Shelly. Michele giving me a twitch tonight. VanDusen.
Hey!
Oh my goodness. Michele. I thought you were going to say Ricola when you said recording. I was waiting for Ricola.
Ricola.
It's that time of year for Ricola, though. Everybody's getting the allergies and colds. And
I have a cup right here, right next to my desk, and it's got all sorts of things. I got zinc in here, and I've got my cough drops, my Thieves cough drops at the bottom. So, and these are those speaker ones, you know, so your mouth isn't dry.
Stacey Corwin turned me on to that after an event where I got super nervous and got dry mouth, and I was halfway through my set and my lips curled up and I looked like a bulldog. Like, you can't do anything about it. It's the Jim Carrey mouth, you know, the Fire Marshal Bill.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yes,
I have no idea. I didn't watch his stuff, so I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
So
I went straight like Bulldog or Fire Marshal Bill in one of my sets because I got so nervous. It was early on, and I didn't realize like that your mouth gets dry like that. Like when that's literally a natural thing.
Yep.
That your body does when your adrenaline's rushing and you're like scared. Your mouth gets dry. Like that would have been good information to know beforehand. Now that I turned you on to the BioTine dry mouth.
Mm-hmm. Yep. This and these things, both of them.
Yeah, the one I got from Stacey Corwin, and then the pharmacy was out of them, and so I bought that BioTine. I really like that. Not a sponsor, but
if you want to be,
if they want to, yeah. Okay, so Michele, I had a road trip this weekend. Drove up to Cincinnati, and literally my Instagram story was all about the drama of my ride. Like,
gave me a heart attack on that, but go ahead.
I love to drive.
Story.
You do too. I mean, you drive, and when we drive, we can bring all the stuff that we want, right? You've got your snacks and you know, I don't have to choose how many pairs of shoes that I'm packing. I pack them all. I'll literally have a bag just for shoes if I'm driving. And I was having all kinds of issues. I was struggling to get on the road. Then I finally got on the road, and I got off at one exit, and it looked like a murder gas station. So I decided I wasn't going to stop there, that I get messed up in traffic outside of Cincinnati. Now I got to go potty. I get to the McDonald's, and it was a weird loop. So I had to circle around it twice to even park. And then I get to the women's restroom. No toilet paper anywhere in the women's restroom, hand dryer, not even paper towels. I'm like, no. I get back out to my car, and it says, maintenance required, right, on the thing. And then I go to start the car, and it says key battery dying. Like, it didn't want to start. My car didn't want to start. I was just done. Like, most of the time, flying makes me nervous. Flying makes me anxious because it's unpredictable. You can't deal with. I could deal with traffic, But this trip was like one of those, everything that could go wrong kept going wrong. Have one of those like road trips where you had so
Never.
many like bumps
Never.
in the road?
I've never had any bumps in the road at all, ever. Like, everything's always smooth sailing for me
Hmm.
because, like, I have the favor of God all the time. Of
Okay, 'cause of my
of course,
season.
of course, I've had those kind of, but here's the thing, June. In the moment of your, things going wrong, you Marco me. You send me a message and you go,
Oh, yes, I did.
"Oh, no, what's it like, oh, no, what," and you, like, freak out, and then I respond to you, I text you, no response from you until the next day. I had to go on your Instagram to find out, "Oh, you made it. Okay, good." And then I was like, "Wait, is this an old post? Maybe she didn't make it." Oh, girl.
Yes. For those who
Mm,
don't know what she's talking about with Marco, there's an app that we send each other messages on all the time where it's basically video messages to each other and you can
not
just
a
watch them
sponsor.
whenever you want to. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's Marco Polo, right? A Marco Polo app. And I got in my car and I was going to complain to Michelle about McDonald's not having toilet paper on the Marco. I was
Yeah.
going to vent about that. And when I hit the button, that's when it was like maintenance required and then
Yeah.
and key battery low. And so I was like, "Hey, Michelle," and I'm holding my phone. I'm like, "Hey, Michelle." So, oh no. And then that's how my Marco ended.
Oh,
I
I
didn't
see.
realize it.
I don't see your face. I see that your dashboard has, like, nothing on it. So that's why I'm like, "Is she driving? Was she driving and then it just died on her?" Like, I had no idea what was happening.
Yeah,
So,
that was awful. That was bad.
yeah.
And also, this is how bad I was at Marco Polo and driving this weekend. Then apparently I did a Marco Polo to you and Rhonda.
No,
And
you did one of those, little Heine calls. Like, the Marco Polo that you did just went for, like, 4 hours.
yes.
You were just talking in the background, things are rattling around, the dog's making no, like, it always in the
Did you recognize
ceiling.
the voices in the background? Did you recognize one of the voices in the background?
No, it was
Because
all kinda muffled. Wha
literally you were in my pocket and I drove down the road to play with my twin nephews. And in the background, when I did see it, Rhonda was like, June, yep, nope, she just never stopped recording. It just recorded and recorded. And I could hear my brother-in-law, the voice of the Life Support Podcast is brought to you by the Hot Breath Comedy Network.
Network.
That was my brother-in-law Gibby in the background. So I
Oh,
epic fail on the Marco Polo. I should be removed from that app, and I apologize for my oh no, and then I just disappeared.
yeah, but, hey, you know what? It did get bring me to my knees. I prayed for you, and then I was like, "Yeah, I think it's alright," and then
But
you
do
were
you
good.
have to go to your knees? I mean, you're already so close to the ground when you
Well,
pray.
so,
Is it?
yeah, you know what? Thank you so much. You who are so tall, just closer to heaven,
Yeah.
whatever. Um, do I have to go to my knees? I'm at my knees, but whatever. It's okay. We're gonna sip now.
Yeah, both of us sip at the same time. That's great audio for a podcast if we're both sipping at the same time. Well, I apologize for that. Here's spoiler alert, Michelle.
Yeah.
I'm fine. Everything's okay.
Did you make
So
it home?
stop. I made it home and we're all good. Listen,
Good,
okay.
good, good, good. Okay, okay.
We have an amazing guest today. I am so excited to have this person on. Good friend of ours, and we're actually planning a second episode, and we'll get to that towards the end of this one. But this is just the first episode with this particular guest because we want to do just a good, solid laugh support interview with him today. So let us know, Michelle, who is on the show.
Okay. Our guest today, he's an actor, a writer, a singer, a stand-up comedian, a podcaster, a producer, and we can now add to his credits a guest on the Laugh Support podcast. Let's
Mhm.
welcome our friend, Corbin's dad, Chester Goad.
Hey, y'all. Good to see you guys.
Did you just have the screaming goat for just Chester Goad?
Yes,
Oh,
I did.
that's awesome.
I didn't hear it scream though, Michelle. I don't think it's close enough to your.
I can hear it. I can hear it.
Can you? Okay.
Yes, I heard it.
Well, welcome to the show, Chester Goad.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
I got that for Michelle for Christmas last year, I think, or her birthday or something. And
she likes little toys. I've noticed that from other projects we've worked on together. So
yeah, her family truly thanks me for the screaming goat.
I'm
sure.
I brought this because I'm hoping to audition to be on one of your songs at some point.
Oh yeah. Oh, that sounds perfect.
Right? Yeah. So
do it. Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Get with my people.
Okay. All right. Cool. Cool.
We'll get y'all connected after the show for sure. Well, Chester, welcome to the Laugh Support Podcast. We went over a little bit before when we came on here, kind of the format of the show. And I'm so glad to have you on because literally when I think about comedians, especially in my area and Tennessee and people that I get to work with and spend time with, you have to be one of the most supportive comedians in the industry and especially in our area. And definitely that's the reputation that you have in our comedy community is that you are a kind and supportive comedian. And so we're just thrilled to have you on the show. It is called Laugh Support because we like to just dive right in to your journey into comedy. So Chester, when you think back, first of all, you can tell us how long you've been doing comedy. And then when you did begin, was there somebody that you can think of that was particularly supportive to you as you began your comedy journey?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you for being so kind. I really appreciate that. I actually started comedy, to be really honest with you, about 20 years ago.
Wow.
I started 20 years ago and I stopped quickly thereafter. Let me tell you, I thought I was one of these people who, I was like wittiest in high school, all those different things. I like to tell stories and I like to captivate an audience. And I thought I can do this. I thought I can go ahead and get some gigs. Who needs open mics and things like that? I'm just gonna get me some gigs and I'm going for it. And let me tell you, I got myself a website and I got some churches and let me tell you, I went and the first one was in North Carolina and it was a Valentine's banquet. And I signed up for that and I was like, sure, yeah, I can do that. I'll take your money. And they actually paid me really well. And so I went to that event and I have to tell you, the funny thing was I had a couple note cards that had some funny story bullets on there. And, I seriously, this has really happened to me and took my wife with me. She's like, you got this, right? I'm like, yeah. Oh yeah, I got it. Y'all. I think back at that. I'm still shaking. My face is turning red right now. It was absolutely the biggest disaster of anything I've ever. I mean, those poor people. It was so bad that we drove back pretty quietly from North Carolina. I got home and I popped that check right back in the mail to them.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I had another one that I already had on the book, so I had to keep that, and I was mortified. I flew out to West Virginia and got out to West Virginia they brought me in for a men's event. I get there, and there were this was like in the middle of nowhere, and there were like 12 men that showed up, okay? And so it was these 12 guys. And again, it was horrible. It was just horrible. And so I can't even describe to you. I wish I could even remember what I did, but I blocked it out from trauma. And so I came home quickly and just kind of let that website die out. And I was like, I can never do this again, And so I kind of put it on the back burner for a while and started getting into songwriting. I started going to some songwriting things. I thought I can be creative this way. Because honestly, if you ask me, I would tell you I'm a creative at heart. I just love to do anything creative.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of things happen in between, And I several years ago, I was at a podcaster event and I met a guy named Rick Roberts. Now we all
Mm.
know Rick Roberts.
Yes, sir.
I met him through podcasting, honestly. And I was listening to his session and he was talking about everything that he does. And I was like, okay, now that I'm interested in. And he had a podcast at the time.
Mhm.
And so I started listening to that and I started reaching out and I did his one of his writing classes. And I just got a little closer with Rick and we just, I don't know, we just really clicked. He's just such a man of integrity and he's a
Yes.
really nice person and he wants people to do well. He doesn't want to just like take your money. Like I did coaching and stuff with him, which I don't know if he's still doing coaching like he did before, but because I know he's super busy, but that was the best thing I could have ever done. The best thing you can
Mm.
do, invest in yourself a little bit, and I have to say my last support outside from my wife because she's been super successful super supportive of all my antics through the years. Okay, everything I got, I'm gonna be this today. Woo,
Yes, yes.
and she's like, okay, you go do that, have fun, and but as far as like in the business, I have to say Rick Roberts has probably been the top support.
Mm.
Well, and a close second would be Marty Simpson. He has been incredibly encouraging to me through the years, and especially just with I'll have to tell you. So I performed in front of him one time, and he came to me afterward. And he's just really nice. And I know he doesn't have that reputation. I've told people that before. I'm like, he's really nice. They're like, no, he's not. I'm like, yes, he is. I'll vouch for him. But no, in seriousness, we all know how sarcastic he can be. But he came out, he goes, I like what you do. You're funny. And it was sincere. And I told someone that later, and they were like, if he said that to you, he meant it.
Yeah. Yeah.
so I could certainly name lots of people that have been supportive, but Rick Roberts and Marty Simpson, you June, I think you've been awesome. Let's see, Moody has been awesome.
Yeah. Moody Malawi. Yeah.
Lee Harden
Yeah.
has even been and so I say that like he's even been, but
Yeah.
Lee Harden was my guitar teacher there for a while. So
Was he really?
yeah, back in my I'm going to be a guitarist days.
That's hilarious.
He's an incredible guitarist.
He is.
Yeah.
I've never I'm like, dude, I love seeing Lee do comedy, love watching him play the guitar. He is one of those people that just and crazy intelligent about a lot of different subject matters as well. Lee is. So and I think that he does like to see people succeed, and he is, I don't want to say this to like to sound, he's a comedy nerd in a positive way. You know what I mean? Like we geek out about the craft, and he's somebody that you can geek out with about comedy, about writing. Like he listens and pays attention. So it doesn't surprise me that he's on the list of folks who've been supportive. Michele, I don't know about you, but I think that Chester needs to do our websites because he had no jokes and he had no material. And he already had 2 gigs, and one was a really well-paying one before he even did a show. I've been writing for 7 years. I have a website. I have done shows, and you were more booked before you were even a comedian than I am after being a comedian since 2017. Chester,
So,
what's the formula?
Oh man, I don't remember back when I created that website. I just remember making it really easy for people to reach out and because both of those were booked through my website. But that was that's been 20 years ago, y'all.
Yeah.
So
yeah, when there was only 2 websites out there because the internet was just created, and only 5 comedians. So hey,
right.
you got booked. Oh, and then 1 girl, me. So
Well, Michelle, you've been working on your website, and so have I for 20
Oh.
years, right? Like we
Oh,
started our website 20 years ago, and eventually we'll get it up.
Yeah, well, I've had my website, for 20 years, and then I just lost it just recently. And I was like,
Oh no.
so now I
Oh
gotta start from
no.
scratch again. Yeah. So I'm gonna just copy everything that you've got happening on yours. And so if you wanna book me, go to chesterg.com and, and just request.
My people will get with your people.
That's right. That's right. I gotta get some people. Anyway, all right, June, what's the next question? What else we got?
Well, so out of the gate, it sounds like when you did journey back into comedy, when you had gotten through your trauma,
Yes.
and reinvented yourself for the 15th time. So now you're back into the game, right? You've got a decent support system around you. After you got into that, did there transition in a time where you were able to be supportive to someone else that was maybe
Oh,
coming up behind you?
that is I have this is gonna sound goofy. It's gonna sound, but that's kind of my mission, is to support
Mm.
other people. I love that very much. I'm a connector by nature. And if I see somebody who might be good for something, I wanna share them out. I get a lot of satisfaction out of connecting people with things that I think that might be good for them or helpful
Yes,
to them
that's
or
good.
something like that. I really love that. If I could think of a couple people right off that I really like to support, Christian McCartney is one of those.
Yeah.
I think he's got so much potential. He's already really rocking it,
Yeah.
but he's growing and he's young, and he's already so faithful to learning and really soaking up things that people say. And so I really like helping out someone who's young. I wish that I had somebody who did that for me when I was younger. And then someone who's older than Christian, but newer, but doing great right now, is Vian Pomachaw. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
always completely ruin his last name, but y'all know Vian. And
Yes.
The doctor.
he's the comic doc. He is such a nice guy, and he
Yeah.
and Christian are very different, but both have such incredible potential that I just want to support them. I want to see them do well, and they're just super nice guys, So
Vian
Very,
is
very good.
definitely so amazingly talented, and he's one that the work ethic that got him into being a doctor, the ability to make it through
yes,
school and have that type of career. He's
yes.
also applied that to his comedy. It's not for comedians, people don't get it, that comedy is no joke to us.
It is no joke.
Serious
Absolutely.
Very
business.
serious.
Yeah, and it's not that I want to be clear. It's not that I don't really feel like I have that whole much to offer them, because they're both doing so awesome. But I want to encourage them, and I want to help get their names out there, and I want to share. And I mean, I just you see people like y'all are doing awesome things, and I want to support everybody in our community who really try to do good work and stick to kind of the message that clean comedy can be good and can be fun. And so I really want to encourage anybody who's doing that. But you connect with people, and then you want to see, like, I'm always watching what everybody's doing. I'm kind of a lurker. And so I love it. I don't mean that in a creepy way, but I like to know what y'all are up to. And so rest assured that I've been paying attention, because it's cool. I like to know when people are going to be close to me. I want to go support them and things like that. So, yeah.
Chester is one that shows up, Michelle, isn't he?
Yeah. Now, didn't you show up to something that June was doing or Leslie Robb was doing or something, like you drove to get there? Like it took a minute and a half. Which one was that? Was that
Yeah, so I think I've been up to see June when she had a show with Jeff Allen. I went to see June then.
Mhm.
That was super exciting for me to be able to support her with that. And then Leslie Robb was here in Tennessee, and so we actually rode together for that one, June.
That's
Um,
right. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I drove, it was like 3-hour drive for me. So I
yep,
drove hour and a half, picked up
yep.
Chester, and then we
We drove
road
another
trip.
hour. Yeah.
Chester
In
was
the middle of
officially my
nowhere.
husband. You became my husband to a couple of people that night. They just assumed that we were married, and we rode to to the Pentecostal church together. And
Exactly. So it was fun, but I love that. If the it's worth it, and I think I want to be what I would appreciate from other people, in that just to know that there's a face in the audience that's like for you. I think
Mhm.
it's super important. So
Yeah, that is huge. That is huge. And I want to write down the date, Chester. I'm not sure when this is going to air, but coming up very soon, you're going to be doing the warm up for the Huckabee show, and that's in December, correct?
yes,
That's
and I get a little
December.
shiver every time I think about it. I'm a little nervous about it. I mean, you guys have been there. You all have both done that. So
Yes. Yes. Now, what's the date for that? Is it the 8th?
it's December the 8th.
8th.
It's gonna
December
be
the 8th.
3
Chester, I can promise you this. It's going to go much better than your first gig.
It better.
Now, and the thing is, when you see the person standing backstage with that hook, it's
Yeah.
only because they're starting to decorate for Christmas. It's not to pull you off stage, okay? Just so you know.
All right.
Well, and Chester drove up here it was probably a couple of years ago now that I did a church show
Yep.
here in Bowling Green before the CCA.
Mhm.
That was just a little bit after my mom had passed away, literally about 3 weeks after my mom had passed away. And it was on with the show. We did it, and it was very comforting to have my friends on that show, to have Chester come up and hang out and be a part of it. So that was really awesome. So yeah, we've actually got to support each other. I've driven to Tennessee to a winery recently when
Yep.
he was
Oh yeah, you
when he
came.
was,
I had a show in Baxter. Yep.
yeah. So
Somebody
we
had to be the designated driver for that, right?
That's right. That's right. To the winery. Yes, I did leave with a bag full of door prizes. So there.
Oh, is that what you're calling it these days?
I know.
Door prizes? Oh, they're little tiny ones. You can't get. Oh, I'll leave it
Yeah.
alone. I'll leave it
So
alone.
yeah, but that's what happens though. That's what happens in life support is, and I think Michele, you have a similar personality to Chester as far as just being somebody who cheers somebody else on, that doesn't look at this thing as like comparison and competing with other people. You show up, you lift
Yeah.
people up. You and both of you all are, or people come to you because you make them feel like they can come to you because you
Yeah.
are approachable. People don't feel like you're going to turn them away or judge them. There are certain people in the industry that like nobody's going to ask them anything or approach them because they're not approachable. And I think this is a lot about you and your personalities that you put that out there where people will come to you.
Well, I think it's also, we both kind of dressed alike. We're both wearing the blue, black, and you got the black in the middle. So I'm just saying, it's like we should go on a tour, the three of us.
That's right. I was just gonna say I just wiped a tear from that. So
Well, now have you guys heard the story about the farmer who he had
Michele,
what?
It's not time, Michele. It's not time.
Not a joke. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. It's not time.
Okay.
It's not a joke.
Okay.
No.
If you were going with your cheesy joke of the day.
No, it's not a joke.
Okay, go ahead.
No, so this farmer had like these prized watermelons or pumpkins or whatever, he was just prize winning kind of things. And he would always give seeds and stuff to his neighbors around him so that they could, integrate their pumpkins to get better. And someone goes, "Why are you doing that?" And he's like, "Well, if they succeed, I succeed." And the whole point, was because with the way the winds blow, if they have bad pumpkins and that stuff is pollinating in his crop goes bad. So he wanted to make sure that he was supporting those around him. So I think it's the same thing with comedy. We shouldn't be competing against. We should be, lifting up and supporting all the way. So,
and there truly is room for everybody. There is.
Yeah.
But did you see what she did there, Chester? She said there wasn't a joke, but she said the farmer shared his seeds so they could all succeed.
Oh, jeez.
It's funny. Laugh.
It's funny. Laugh. That's right. Chester's been watching my pun attacks.
Yes.
That's what I'm doing now. I'm doing the attack puns on social media. Okay, well, we'll move out of that one to the next question, Chester. So we know you've been very supportive. We know that there have been people around to support you. But we always ask if there was a time period during comedy that you felt unsupported, maybe that you were on Chester Island, right? And you were just kind of out there on your own. Have you experienced that? And if so, how did you maneuver through those moments?
Yeah, I think that's very similar to podcast world in the sense that when you start pursuing something, you kind of have to feel it out first, and you're checking out other people's podcasts and things like that, and so there's a time that you are a learner or a scholar. You're having to study kind of how all this works and things, because I'll be honest, I didn't know how it all worked, obviously, because of my first disaster, so I had to figure it all out. I can't think of one specific time. But I can think of many times that I felt lonely or not a part of, or I think we all mentally go through those situations where you're just like, you have what a lot of people call imposter syndrome. You're like, can I really do this? Am I really funny, or are people just being kind? And what I've learned is people are not just kind; they won't laugh if you're not.
That's right.
So. But I think I've had to. I think the way I dealt with that, where I was going with the podcast thing, is I wanted to learn more about podcasting. And so I started asking people and getting with people. And then I started, doing some of the webinars and the seminars that people were doing. Same thing with comedy. You just have to learn more. And, I think just as much as stage time, there needs to be screen time and actual going and listening to what other people do for you to be able to learn and to spend time with other people. And honestly, one of the most encouraging things was the last couple of years with the CCA. I was unable to go to CCA last year, but I went the previous year. And it's just a great place to connect. And, I remember I actually ended up in the hospital after that. I don't know if y'all remember that. I had some major back issues on my way home from that event. But people were so supportive and so kind. And you are only as involved as you choose to be. You have to put yourself out there, and it can be uncomfortable. So.
Yeah, I love that. Only as involved. Yeah, say that again. You're only as
Only as
involved.
involved as you choose to be. You got to put yourself out there.
Yeah. I'm writing that down. That needs to be in our show notes. Only as involved as you choose to be. Because a lot of times I think people sit on the sidelines and complain because nobody's asking them to play.
Yeah.
But they haven't acted like they wanted to play. They haven't put
Right.
themselves out there, and nobody even knows that they can dribble the ball or or kick or whatever, because they're just on the sideline and not letting people know that they're there or putting themselves out there. That's a yeah.
No, people who go into entertainment of any kind, there's a piece of us that likes to be out there. I'm an introverted extrovert.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of stand-up comics are introverted extroverts. We have to work at it. And that's why sometimes you put us in a room at first, it's really awkward. And then people start talking and it gets more comfortable. And then it becomes a lot of fun,
Yeah. Yeah. Now, yeah, I know we talked about this earlier. You said it was okay to go to this territory as well, but I know that there's a time just recently in your life where the funny stopped for a little bit.
Yep.
And I want to talk about, there's a song out right now. So if you'll share with us just a little bit about the song and tell us a little bit about Corbin, because we have Chester, if you see what scrolls across in his website and all of that, and he closes out his show by telling the audience they've been great, and I'm
Corbin's dad. Yeah.
Corbin's dad. So tell us about, there's a song out there right now, right, Chester, that people can listen to and tell us about it.
Yes. So a little over a year ago, we lost our son. He was our only child, and his name is Corbin. And I say his name is Corbin because he is still around. He's just in a different place. Corbin's in heaven now.
Yeah.
He left us in October a year ago, and that was a very a dark time. And I have to say, I don't remember a whole lot about the immediate few weeks after that. Honestly, a whole lot. And the whole year has been rough, but especially through the memorial and the funeral and things like that. But I have to say that the comedy community was incredibly supportive and continue to be that way. But looking out at that memorial, Corbin's memorial was in the gym of our church, and seeing you, June, and Moody, and others that came and was super special. And Doc Kennedy came to Corbin's graveside, and it's just people who are so good. And then there are people who couldn't make it who were messaging me. Michele, Rhonda Corey still messages me.
Yes.
And she'll say, I don't have anything to say. I just want you to know I prayed for you today. It's things like that. And others have done that as well. And so, long story short, I wrote a song about Corbin and his last conversation with first responders. And in that last conversation, Corbin, he told the first responders that he was leaving. And so they said, wait a second, hang on here. We're going to get you. We're going to get you out of there or whatever. And he said, no, I'm going to leave now, basically, is what he told them. And those first responders came and found us and told us that. And it was really special that they shared that with us. And they don't get enough credit for the work that they do. I love all first responders, but these folks who do these ambulances, emergency services, they don't get enough credit for the work that they do. They're having final conversations sometimes with people, and that's got to be incredibly hard. When they came to tell us about that conversation, there was not a dry eye in the ambulance where we were sitting.
Yeah.
And so that's what this song is for. It's to honor our son. And so, yeah, we released a song. I worked with Sam Hart. He's a Nashville producer. He produces a lot of cool folks. If you go online and look up Sam Hart, he's a music producer in Nashville. I wrote the song with David Delgado. I actually wrote the song, the majority of it, on a napkin one day when I was at lunch. It just kind of poured out, and I needed to get with somebody because I'm not a musician per se. So I had to get with my buddy David Delgado, who's out of Oklahoma, who is just an awesome, faithful guy as well. And we wrote the song, produced it, and released it. And it released on Father's Day, which was when we had scheduled it to be released. So
Yeah. Now I know some cute little boys that are in the music video. If you watch the video, Michele, because there were several people that were Chester's friends and family members and stuff, and they asked for
the signs,
specific imagery, holding some signs, and I thought, I am not that interesting, but I have twin nephews who are adorable, and so I went over and got permission from my nephew and his wife to have them in the video as well, and the song has some imagery and stuff from Corbin's childhood and those kind of things. So I thought, the little dudes with me would be cool. It's a beautiful song. Listen, it's so good. I've shared it with so many people and my family and all of that. And it was just really, really well done. And Chester, you've had to take time to grieve. The grieving hasn't stopped, but you've transitioned back in and been on the stage doing some comedy, bringing the laughter, and tell us what that feels like, or what that's like to have
okay. So
again.
Okay, so it happened incrementally. I was not long after Corbin passed away, I had been nominated for one of those All the Laughs Atlanta Comedy Awards for clean comedy. And I was going to go down to Atlanta, and I had already committed, already done the video, all these different things. I thought, I can do this. Y'all, I was completely out of it down there. I had great supportive people. Donnie was there. Donnie the entertainer. But I never know how the best way to say it.
Who knows? Don, when you say Donnie, we all just know exactly
who
you're
we're talking about.
Donnie's Donnie.
Yes, he was there, and he checked on me. And then Lee Harden, stayed after me, and he was like, hey, why don't you just take a ride with me? Let's go to South Carolina. Why don't you open for me at a church there in South Carolina? We'll ride and we'll talk, or you don't even have to talk. We can just ride together, you know, and just so thoughtful. And I don't even know how that show turned out. I don't have any memory of it, to be really honest.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing was, you know, talking about that incrementally getting back, I stood up on stage. I had gone through a couple bits. I got to a bit where I typically talk about Corbin. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
And so when I got to that part, y'all, I don't remember anything after that. I truly don't. And anyway, Lee was very gracious, and we had a good time, you know. But then not long after that, I got a message from JJ Barrows. And she messaged me, and she'd been kind of watching him and being encouraging anyway. And she messaged me and she said, hey, I've got a show at the Comedy Catch in Chattanooga. We're going to try to raise some money for Meals on Wheels. And we're wondering if you would come and host it for us. And I was like, I don't know about that. All right. Yeah, this just happened and this just happened. I don't know. And she's like, well, just pray about it, you know, just like, let me know. And so I messaged her back, said, okay, we'll do it. And the show was fun. We had a great time.
Nice.
So things kind of started, you know, that was in December of last year. Then I held off, and then I've incrementally started getting back to things. It's important that you get back out on stage, because if you don't, when you're in a state of grief, you have to push. You have to push forward, or you're going to stay stuck in this really horrible place. And I still have moments of that, all the time, sometimes daily. But you know, laughter is a medicine. And if you're somebody who enjoys seeing people laugh or smile or whatever, you do get something therapeutic from that. So that's a part that I do really like.
Yeah. And well, and I say, Michele, I called Chester one day, and, you know, my mom had passed away, and I had gone to some event, and this lady wasn't even talking about what she said. She was talking about something else, but she put these two words together, and it just struck me, because I was like, "Ooh, I do that." She said, grieving creatively. She said, grieve creatively. And I was sitting with my Bible in front of me, and I had just had a moment where I was just kind of melting down. I just didn't know what to do with this grief that I had about mom passing away. And my Bible was laying on the table. It was tore all to pieces. The cover was, you know, just shredded. And I just needed a new cover for my Bible. And I had a shirt that was my mom's that I had bought her, and she wore it all the time when I took her to Aldi. And, you know, what do you do with those things? So I deconstructed the shirt, and I used the material, and I made a Bible cover. And so my Bible is covered in my mom's shirt, you know. And I was watching, Chester, you've been very creative in your grief. You've been very public with your journey through grief, and you've made videos and shared. And I told him one day, I go, that's what you're doing. You grieve creatively as well, you know. And I think creatives, you know, that's our outlet, not just for, you know, positive fun and, you know, all that. It can be the outlet for our grief as well. And so I encourage you to follow Chester on social media. There's a lot of fun, a lot of lighthearted stuff, but then there's a lot of just very honest what he's walking through. And if you haven't been through a loss, well, we all eventually will go through a loss, you know. So if you haven't been there, you know, one day you might. And I think that the stuff that you've shared is, I'm sure, therapeutic for you, but it's also, I think, helpful to other people. And I know that people have probably reached out and said things to you and messaged you and said, you know, that meant a lot to me. So, so I just want to thank you for sharing that and being vulnerable in that journey. And I'm just so proud of you for just getting out of bed in the morning and chugging along and putting your faith in God, being positive, still continuing to be laugh support and bringing laughter to people. And, you know, in such a difficult time in your life. So, and agreeing to come on here and hang out with me, crazy Michele VanDusen with her shakers and screaming goats.
Screaming goat.
It's a lot. It's a lot. So if you could leave a piece of advice, maybe that somebody has given you, in comedy and life and whatever that you continue to use. If you could leave a piece of advice for our listeners, is there something you could think of that you would want to share?
Yeah, I think it's important that we connect. We keep trying to connect each other. That we're generous with our gifts and our time, and also with our own connections. I think that's important for us to kind of take care of each other that way. You know, we all have opportunities, and if we have an opportunity to extend an opportunity, I think that's super special, and I think that's important for us to do, especially as a comedy community who wants to be more family oriented, or at least work clean. And I think that's important. I think it's okay to know that you're not for everyone. That's why I really think that shows that have a lot of people on them are a lot of fun, because I think it's gonna tickle. Everybody's gonna get their funny bone tickled at some point during a show like that. You know, have a variety of people there. I think that's super important. And then those people who are grieving, I want to leave something for those too, especially in the community. The New York Times came out with an article. I don't know when it actually originally came out, but it kind of covers grief and comedy. And it says, and it was something like to the effect of, are we really going to do this? And it was talking about all the different people who are doing comedy and they're working grief into their comedy. And they're kind of posing the question, is this appropriate? Do people really like this? And they give lots of different opinions about it. And they interviewed a lot of people. And there were some people who didn't really like that, and some people who didn't. They felt like they were taking it to a dark place. But I mean, isn't comedy sometimes where we sit with our discomfort, you know, and we share that, you know, kind of thing. So if you can be creative in how you do that. But I want to leave you with this. There was a quote in there from Rob Delaney's book, A Heart That Works, which I have not read. But I love this part. And if you think about that person you're missing, he was missing his son, Henry. He had lost his son, Henry. And he said, in between Henry's birth and his death was his life. And that was my favorite part. I love that.
That's good.
The time that we have here is somebody's favorite part. So we need to make it the best that we can, right?
Oh,
Yeah, that's so good. That's
so
really good.
Michele, you and Chester are parts of my favorite parts, you know.
Aw, I love that.
I'm so sorry. No, because if this is it, I'm sorry, Jude.
I want to go grab my denim jacket so I can match you guys. You got the blue on top and the black and the, hey, I'm going to do that. And while I do, Michele, talk to Chester about why he's going to come back for another episode.
Ooh, okay. All right. So Chester, check this out. We want to have you back.
Yes.
Because I want to have the recap and all the details and all the information of what happened when you and June went to that crazy festival. I heard you guys are going to do some festivals coming up.
Yes, we had so much fun.
I'm looking forward to that. Like, that's going to be the thing. So
let's do it. Oh, look at that.
Now I'm
Can you put us side by side again? Can you put us side by side again so we can all have a
yeah.
Look at it. All right, for our podcast listeners, Chester and Michele apparently got to get this. Happened to me with my friends in school. They would they would call each other and tell each other what they were going to wear the next day. But in their defense, we were too poor for a phone, so no one could actually call me. So I guess that's why I was always left out, now that I think about it. But for our people who are listening and now watching, Chester and Michele looked very much alike. So I now have on my jacket. We are all wearing blue on the outside and black on the inside. So there it is. We're looking
just know that you don't have to fit in. You don't have to fit in. You can just be yourself.
Well, yeah, she can't. She can't.
No.
She has to like imprint on everybody else. It's just one of those things.
All right.
You know, it's June.
This is myself. This is myself. Now I feel more like myself. So, so you talked about the Bigfoot, Michele?
I did. I talked about the Bigfoot, and I was wondering if it was time for your tip of the week.
Oh yes, tip of the week. What did I say?
Back it up.
Back it up.
Back it up.
Listen.
So, Chester, this is where you and I, right before, we're going to introduce, June's tip of the week. And then we're going to go beep, 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 because we're backing it up.
Not that kind of backup, Michelle. Not that kind of backup.
No, okay. So what is
No.
it?
Okay, so but it has to do with a car, not a truck backing up. So I say if you have a key fob on your car, the keyless start, have a battery backup in your glove box. Always have a battery backup. I was traveling a long distance this weekend and I get my vehicle and it said, and I didn't have my spare key with me. I only had my regular, just one key. And I thought, I don't know how long I have until this thing goes dead and it won't start my car. Now, Michelle was saying you can pop the key out the side and do all that mess.
Oh yeah.
But my tip of the week is if you have one of those fobs, find out what kind of batteries in it and throw one in the glove box just in case, so you don't get into a pinch like I was. So you're welcome. You're welcome, Michelle. Now, Michelle, what do you have for us? I don't want to know. I don't.
So on that,
First of
on
all,
that
I
note-
apologize, Chester. I apologize for what's about to happen.
Okay.
So Michelle's joke of the week. What kind of car do frogs prefer?
What kind of car, Michelle? We want to know.
The Beetle. Okay, all right. How about this one? What does
That's
a
my
foot,
reaction most of the time, Chester. Thank you.
how about this? What does a foot call when his car breaks down?
What is a what?
A foot
Oh,
call.
oh. Mm-hmm.
The tow truck.
Nice.
Oh,
okay.
Mhm.
we can follow that a little bit better. You know what, friends? I hate to end on that note, but we really do have to wrap it up at this point. Michelle, I want to thank Chester Goad for coming to be a guest on our show today. Chester, you are amazing. Friends, make sure that you follow Chester at chesterg.com or CorbinsDad.com. And I think at Corbin's Dad, you can definitely find the song
Yes.
that we were referring to. And so check it out. It's just really awesome. I know it's going to bless you. So that's going to be it for this episode of the Life Support Podcast. As I always say, Jesus and Junebug loves you. And Michelle, tell them goodbye.
Goodbye. And I want to say, Rhonda. All right. Have a good one. Thanks for listening.